Hey everyone, long time no see. Today we're going to talk about three main things. First, fishing in video games and my fishing mechanic that I implemented. Then we'll talk a little bit about just other little things that I've accomplished with the project. And finally, what my next goals are and the next things I'm going to try and implement. So without further ado, let's talk about fishing in video games. Now, anyone who's played video games, at least for a little while, probably knows one or two, or maybe quite a few, fishing mini games. They're all generally kind of the same, at least with the setup. You hit one button to cast out a line, then you get prompted somehow that a fish has bit the line, and you hit the button again within a window to start reeling it in. Now, once you're reeling the fish in, that's where games kind of try to depart a bit and get creative. There's many different approaches to this. So there's I think of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Then, of course, you have the usual suspects of Animal Crossing and all of its iterations, Harvest Moon, and, of course, Stardew Valley. Now, I don't like the simplicity of games like Animal Crossing's or Harvest Moon's fishing systems. I don't like the weirdness of something like Zelda's Ocarina of Time. And I don't really like the reeling minigame in Stardew Valley. I know there's a lot of people who agree with me and a lot of people who disagree with me on that last one, but it is what it is. So when designing my mechanic, I kept the same easy setup that all of them have. Cast out a line, exclamation point appears, you hit A or space or whatever the action button is to start reeling the fish in. So, when thinking of inspiration for my reeling minigame, I thought of none other than Super Earth. Yes, that is correct. I took inspiration from the hit game Stratagem Hero. So my reeling minigame, I wanted to keep simple, but I wanted it to have scaling difficulty. I wanted it to have skill expression, be fast, have some sort of quick time element, but not be frustrating and obtuse like I feel like Stardew Valley's is. When you're good at Stratagem Hero, you know why you messed up. The fish isn't just going to randomly go in different directions. And you're going to have more real control over the reeling. So, once you've caught the fish and you reeled it in, I set it up so that right now, based on the difficulty, a number of arrows will pop up and you have to hit them in sequence. And while all of this is happening, the bar is going down. You don't want it to hit 0. Every time you complete a sequence, it gets like a giant jump. You're trying to get it to 100. Now, I also made it so if you fail, there's no penalty at the moment. It just prevents you from doing another sequence for a couple seconds. But I'm going to play around with these parameters. That's the nice thing about having it made, is now I can be like, I wonder what having this many arrows would do, or have it decrease this much, or have it when you fail, you lose a chunk of progress. None of what I have right now in those regards is final. But this kind of leads me into the second thing we're going to talk about today, because I've been trying to future-proof my coding and work as much as possible. So when I implement a system, because I'm not testing out a new type of video game or anything, I don't feel the need to experiment with my gameplay loops too much. I know what a cozy game is and how fun it is, so I can actually just work on getting the mechanics right the first time and building off of them. So when I was making my fishing minigame, I of course have it so you can roll for random fish, but how does that actually work, right? Well, it will depend on what time of day it is, what the weather is, what the seasons are, where are you fishing. So I went ahead and implemented all of these systems. So now I have, for instance, the ocean. Yes, it is grand. And I also implemented rain. Of course, if you're going to implement rain, you might as well make it water the tiles that you can till that I've already done, right? Well, if I'm going to do that, I might as well go ahead and finish up the growth stages of plants, right? Since I'm doing days and seasons. And if I'm going to do the growth stages of plants, when they're fully grown, they might as well be harvestable, right? So one thing led to another. I implemented all of these systems just so that I could have different fish, different weighted chances for fish based on environmental cues. And now I also have the weather, and crops grow every day, and the rain will water them, and they'll die if they haven't been watered. There's a chance anyway that they'll die. Other things, just to go over the other things that I do have implemented. I reworked my inventory system again, once and for all. It's still not pretty because I haven't messed too much with the GUI, but it works, and it's super easy now to modulate and to edit if I want to add more variables. I'm actually, if there's enough demand, I'm thinking about doing a tutorial series on how to make a good inventory system, because I think mine is pretty robust and useful. And I know there's not a whole lot of that out there on YouTube at the moment. So if that's something you'd like to see me go over, just let me know in the comments and I'll consider doing a video about it. So yeah, I have actually implemented a lot of core mechanics now, at least in like a foundational level, which brings us to the third part that I wanted to talk to you about. What am I going to do next? Well, I'm working on two main things that are like big roadblocks at the moment, which is one, the dialogue system. That's why you'll see this sneaky little girl over here. I did make a dialogue system like 2 years ago, just on its own project, just a random thing to try and do. That worked pretty good, only I don't remember how it works. So I tried importing it and looking at it, and I was honestly just like, I should just redo this. So I learned about Scribble. I'm going to try and make a new dialogue system that uses Scribble, which will save me a lot of headache and make it much easier, I think, for me to understand, which is really important. You need to understand your own code. And then the second thing that I've been tearing my hair out on already is terrain generation. I'm not an artist. I'm not good at like deciding all of the little things that make a town or a farm pretty to look at. I like to think I know when it's pretty and when it's not, but maybe even that is too much. So I want random variation in the tiles so that I can, have a general idea of like where dirt, grass, and trees are, but then like have it kind of randomly generated to make it look real, unique, and hopefully pretty. For instance, I know that this dirt is too noisy, right? I need to redo the dirt tile and the tilled tile, because like being able to parse what is tilled and what is just dirt, at least for me, seems a little difficult. Now I have like a base generation done. I had to learn about Perlin noise and all this stuff, but I have a base terrain generation done, but I need to do my own auto tiling, which means I need to learn about bit masking. So yeah, that's like a whole headache that I'm gonna have to dive into. I'm probably going to mainly focus on dialogue because I'm more comfortable there, but the generation will be key to like having a game that looks like a game, which is really important for me and really helps me like motivate myself to work on the project. And I didn't really touch on this. The other side of generation is obviously on the farm map, you need to have like rocks and twigs and shrubs and stuff like randomly generate. So that's the second aspect to that. Anyway, sorry for the huge time gap between videos. I think I said I wanted to do one once a month. That is not going to happen. I'm going to try and do one, I think, every 2, maybe 3 months. We'll see. I'll do my best, but I am still working on the project. Hopefully you can see that I've made what I think is some pretty good progress, and will continue to do so. So if you'd like to follow along and help me out, subscribe. I'll be down in the comments if you have questions or just want to say hey. Yeah, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.